There's a moment in every argument where sound is expected, a reaction, a defense, a rise in volume that confirms the conflict has begun. And sometimes it doesn't happen. One person remains quiet, not frozen, not unsure, just still. That stillness is often mistaken for weakness, but psychologically, it's usually the opposite. Silence in moments of conflict is often a form of emotional regulation. People who stay quiet are not ignoring what's happening, they're managing themselves within it. They feel the surge of emotion, the pressure to respond, the pull to defend. And instead of letting those forces take control, they pause. Their silence isn't empty, it's intentional. For some minds, clarity arrives when noise leaves. Arguments flood the air with words, but the quiet person is listening beyond them. They're watching tone shift, noticing patterns, sensing what's driving the reaction underneath the surface. While others are trying to win, they're trying to understand. And understanding changes everything. Silence also removes the fuel arguments depend on. Conflict feeds on reaction. Escalation needs resistance to survive. When someone refuses to provide it, the dynamic shifts. The person expecting engagement suddenly faces their own intensity reflected back at them. That's why silence is often labeled as cold, dismissive, or passive-aggressive. Not because it harms, but because it disrupts the emotional script people expect you to follow. Those who stay quiet during arguments often understand that words spoken in heightened emotion rarely carry truth. Anger sharpens language into weapons. Hurt bends meaning into accusation. Fear rushes speech before thought can catch up. So they wait. They value precision over immediacy. Fewer words said with clarity feel safer than many words said under pressure. Silence becomes a way to protect meaning and themselves. While the argument unfolds, they aren't just hearing content, they're sensing intention. They notice when logic slips into control, when concern becomes leverage, when emotion is used to steer rather than express. And silence gives them the distance needed to see it clearly. Sometimes staying quiet is simply a boundary, a quiet recognition that the moment has crossed from communication into domination. At that point, engagement stops being useful. Silence says, without saying anything at all, I won't fight for my dignity. I'll protect it. And when they finally speak, because they eventually do, the tone is different, calmer, more grounded, harder to twist. Words spoken after silence tend to land with weight. They come from thought rather than impulse, from awareness rather than reaction. That's why silence unsettles people. It can't be rushed, it can't be provoked easily, and it refuses to give control to the loudest voice in the room. People who stay quiet during arguments aren't disconnected, they're selective. Their quiet isn't absence, it's self-possession. And in a world that confuses volume with power, that kind of silence speaks the loudest.